Hello again, and welcome to the third and final session in our three-part series where we're going to focus on database engineering and business intelligence, how we take data to drive decisions. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Be sure to check out the first and second part in our series located on our LinkedIn page. While you're there, give DT a follow so you can find out all things DriveTime. Last but not least, we have members of our database and BI teams here to talk about how we use data to drive every decision. These teams make up over a quarter of our vast IT groups, and we couldn't be successful without them. Lastly, we have Greg Sachs again, our Executive Vice President of IT and Strategy for DriveTime and our family of brands, to be our host. Greg, take it away.
All right, Kayla, thank you. As Kayla mentioned, this is the third in our three-part series here, digging into DriveTime technology and our company in general. Today, we've got with us Vivek Shah, who heads up our data engineering group and has been with the company for about 9 years. I think I got that right, 9 years?
Still is.
Also, Derek Simmons, who heads up the retail database teams, and he's been with us for about 6 years. I was giving you too much credit. Also, Lisa Aguilera, who runs all of our business intelligence group, and I'm going to put her in the 9-year slot.
Yep, 8.5.
Good enough, 9. And then our esteemed leader over all our big data teams, Pete Grisolano, who it's a little scary to think how long it's been, but
it's been a while.
It's been a while. So, yeah, so
20 years.
we're going to get into that a little bit later. It might start with a 2, like Lisa just said. But thank you guys for being here today. We'll get into a lot of interesting topics, I'm sure. First, I typically like to start off a little bit about a background about DriveTime. In the first 2 sessions, we went into some more detail, but we'll keep it short this time. Most of you guys probably already know that we're a company that is about 5,000 people in size. We have about 130 dealerships across 26 states in the U.S., and our business model is one where we're both a vehicle retailer. We sell about 130,000 cars a year, and we're also a independent finance company. Every car we sell, we originate a loan, and we service that loan. So we have a really interesting vertically integrated model that poses a ton of challenges throughout all of that, especially on the technology side. So before I forget, you guys can use, anybody in the audience can use the chat function at any time during this video. And Kayla will be monitoring that. And at the end, we'll do Q&A for any questions that come in. So with that, let's dig into some big data stuff. So Pete, first question is for you.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about what makes DriveTime a data-driven company.
Well, like you explained a minute ago, 5,000 people, all of them want data, all of them want the information. But, I have been here for a long time, and it's been the same since I've been, since I started till now. Everybody has a huge appetite for the information we have. And then we have these verticals, the retail, the inventory space, the servicing space. All these places have to, all these verticals have to share information. So we've tried to set ourselves up in a way to give everyone in these verticals the success to use this information. Now, in the very beginning, we've always had the philosophy of give everybody access. And we still carry that through today. I'd say today we're probably a little more responsible with that attitude. But our goal is to get everybody the information they need. So some things that make that easy for us to do is as we've homegrown a lot of our own applications, a lot of that data is very intimate to us. We've designed it, we've built it, and we're able to provide that to our analytics group and our business users in the form of a single kind of spot to go get that information. And that has just provided a massive amount of value for everybody to go shopping and do discovery. We also provide kind of these sandboxes for people to do this discovery, and a lot of our applications were homegrown from these POCs that we would do and proof of concepts. And a lot of that came from our analysts and just people digging in and really thirsty for data. Fast forward a little bit and how we use data now for maybe what we did in the past. We do have a lot of sophisticated processes that we use. We have now a data science team that, we work together with to integrate, AI models into our business decision layer. So we're buying cars right now at auction with models in place for warranty scores and depreciation scores that help us, really make the right decision. But if you can imagine, we're buying 150,000 cars a year. If you overpay by $100 on each car, you're at $15 million over. So we really use these models to help control spend and automatically purchase these vehicles. We use other data models like our credit risk score, really our bread and butter. How likely are you to be successful in a loan? We want our customers to be successful and to have a good path to ownership. So those models are very critical to us. And lastly, we've got a loan valuation engine we built over the last 2 years. It gave us a new complicated problem. It put us into this big data space, put us into this land where we needed something like Snowflake to help deliver that. And that's a predictive model that helps us determine how much cash flow a loan is going to produce. And that's used in our 5-year forecast. So a lot of cool things going on with data. But I would like to bring up that there was a period this year, with the pandemic going on where none of our predictive, data made sense. Like we couldn't use it to make decisions. So, how did we get through some of that? Well, most of our people are used to, taking data and making decisions. Now we just had to get data from a lot of the community, looking at, what the government was telling us, looking at the CDC, but we're nationwide. So, every dealership was a little bit different, but we all banded together to create a response that, we moved selling cars, outside of our dealership. We moved the application process over to to more of a phone-based process to keep that interaction minimal. And so, we've just worked really hard to keep the information flowing. We had analysts looking at how the stimulus is going to affect everything, how unemployment is going to look for our customers, how are we going to message them. Every day was slightly different. But I do think the data-driven culture led us to get out of that really quickly and bounce. And as a result, we had pretty minimal impact to employment. IT actually had to hire during this phase. So nothing but upside on the data side. No better time to be in data than right now.
Yeah, so you hit on a lot of the proprietary models and products that are in the environment today, and we'll touch a little bit later on the different type of technologies we use. But I imagine we have a sizable group of people that it takes to make all this work. And Dave, maybe you can talk a little bit about what those team structures are like.
Thank you, Greg. So we have in total of approximately around 40 developers, which forms the data team. That includes the data engineers, the business intelligence, and the DBAs. DBAs is one of the teams that we have that is all over the one team that helps every other business segments in the company. The data engineers and business intelligence teams are divided into more specific of a business segment. The business segments that we have are inventory, retail, Silver Rock, and servicing. These are the core business segments that we support and help build applications and support the systems. Talking more on the database engineer side, the database engineers team has a diverse group of people from a junior to senior, where a junior is an intern or a level 1 developer who is learning the trade of the skills or learning the tools, as compared to a senior who can design and architect a database solutions. So we believe in having a mix of people that can help each other, mentor each other, and learn from each other. So that's how those teams are divided. Most of the team members on the database side work closely with the application developers, QAs, solution analysts, we call them SAs, and product owners. Each unit, each business segment has a concept of track leads. So what we do is we have a track lead for database, a track lead for application team, and a product owner. They all meet together and talk to our business members, operation team members, who drives us, what is the next software, what is the next big feature we want to develop, and put it out there in the market that will help our team members, whether it's in the dealership or reconditioning centers, to grow our business more. So they come back from after talking to operations people and then talk to the team members. The team's job is to understand that feature and break it down into simple tasks and stories. We believe in agile methodologies, so we do Kanban, sprint system. Some teams do 2-week sprints, some teams will do 3-week sprints. So the goal here is to integrate and evolve slowly and keep producing MVPs, as we like to call them, minimal viable product. Deliver into small, keep moving to production and do it that way. We also believe in coaching, like we have all these data engineers have path of either to take a technical route or a leadership route as they grow in their career. So very similar to data engineers, we'll see that our business intelligence teams is also equally divided into business segments. They work with the product owners too. Analytics is one of their customers, so the product owners will work with the leads or representatives of the analytics side and then come back and have a discussion with the BI team leads, and they will decide what feature to do, what reports to do. Like how can we develop reports or charts that will help the operational people make better decisions. So it's very similar concept. It's just like they have we provide service to like dealerships or reconditioning centers from the data engineering side, as BI is providing service to accounting and analytics team in general.
Yeah, so a lot of collaboration in there. You mentioned a ton of different roles. What would you say, in a few words, makes the database team so critical to the company?
So from the database perspective, we just don't create tables, views, and what you call design structures, right? We do a lot. As you guys might have heard in the past, most of our applications are in-house built, and that involves a lot of complex design on the back end that we all support and maintain. One of the interesting examples that we do is a concept of recon model. So as most of you know, we are in the business of buying used vehicles, repairing them at our reconditioning center, and selling it to the customer. But in the past, we used to have a fixed cost on every vehicle. What that means is like every vehicle we are buying from the auction, for example, we'll spend $10,000 as a base cost. If that vehicle fits that number, let's buy the vehicle. Over the past couple of years, with the help of our data science team, predictive models, and things like that Pete mentioned, what we have come to realize that every make and model can be purchased at a different price point that gives us a leg up as compared to our customers or our competitors. So what we do is like we take how many miles the vehicle has, what year the vehicle was produced, what kind of features the vehicle has, what are the vehicles coming at the auction. So we look at those things, and we look at historically, have you bought any of these vehicles? Let's take an example. For example, Honda Civic. Have you purchased this particular year model of Honda Civic in the past? So we know from the historical data what the base cost of the vehicle is, how much repair has been added in those vehicles. So we can generate a model. So our friends at data science team helps us create a model we call as reconditioning score or a recon score. What that helps us decide, helps our buyers is like a recon score is generated for each vehicle, make, model, trim up to the trim level, and that helps our buyers make the decision. Hey, I can bid $200 to $500 more on this vehicle because historically we know this vehicle costs less for us to repair. So we can bid more and outbid our competitors. On the other side, we know that this particular model costs us more on the recon, let's bid less. So it's very vehicle-specific bidding system that we have built in-house with the data engineers and the data science team, and it's pretty interesting. We also use all the latest tools, like to build this model, we have used SQL Server, SSIS, Zapier, which is used to call APIs. We use Snowflake, and we use the help of the .NET teams that can help us deliver this model. Other cool features that the data engineering team is doing is we partner with the DevOps team. DevOps is one of the new teams at DriveTime, and what they have helped us is speed up the efficiency of how we do things at DriveTime. So the DevOps teams helped us build a CI/CD pipeline. What that is a continuous integration, continuous deployment methodology, wherein all the database developers develop code in dev, test, and they move up through the system of a versioning system of CI/CD, where we don't need to do our deployments manually, send it to someone who looks at the code and deploys it. It's all automated. It helps us reduce the risk. It helps us increase the efficiency. So those are few of the cool things the data engineering teams are doing right now.
Yeah, thanks, Viv. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about business intelligence. So maybe Lisa, talk a little bit about who your customers are and how you help them.
Yeah, so our business intelligence group, our mission is to provide near real-time quality data integrated from all of our business segments in order to allow for strategic data-driven decisions. So our main customers is our analytics group, and they are, in the past, they've been very technical. They all had access to SQL, they're all writing SQL code. And so our mission is to get them to spend more time doing analytics and provide them with those quality data models, the data warehouse, and provide them with self-service BI tools that allows for ad hoc, asking questions of the data and getting those answers without having to do a lot of development. So we're going to be heavily focused on self-services next year. We currently have SQL Server analysis services implemented, both multidimensional and tabular. But we are, looking into the future. We want to find a self-service tool that's scalable and works very well with Snowflake on billion row tables. So yeah, our goal is, the analysts are our customers, and how can we make their job doing analytics better, faster, more data now?
Yeah, that's perfect. And you mentioned a couple of the tools that we use in the environment. Maybe Derek, you could go a little bit deeper into all the technologies and what makes our stack so special.
Yep. So I think in order to call yourself a data-driven company, it's pretty important to have some well thought out database processes and structures. DriveTime has been and is investing greatly in these different solutions that are scalable enterprise-wide and really do a good job of streamlining development for all of our different teams. So last week, my team recently completed a project that I think kind of showcases these different technologies we're using. You've heard about our in-house built applications. They're writing hundreds of thousands of records to our SQL Server environments. And in order to get those up into Snowflake, which Lisa had mentioned, we're using Confluent Kafka to stream that data real time. Once it's in Snowflake, we're able to kind of harness that compute and that power to real time move this data into facts and dimensions. At that point, we can put it in a tabular model. We can make a Tableau dashboard. We also have a lot of third-party external data where we're writing Python to hit those APIs and push that data directly into Snowflake. And then on top of it, all these moving pieces, we have a tool called Argo where we can kind of orchestrate it all and create dependencies.
Thanks. Yeah, good overview. There was a lot of stuff in there. You mentioned Snowflake.
Yep.
Snowflake is an integral part to the environment. It sounds like a fairly new addition to the product set that we work with. Maybe Lisa, you could talk a little bit about why Snowflake and why has it created such a difference for DriveTime?
Yeah, so Snowflake is our new cloud data warehouse platform, and we've had it for about 3 years now. It's a pure cloud technology. It was built from scratch, for the cloud. So it's unique in the way that it separates the storage and the compute. And so we got Snowflake, it's created a lot of buzz around its performance and the speed at which it's increased analytics and development. Basically, it's a very simple pay-as-you-go pricing model. You pay for what you use. So it has very low barrier to entry. And we had one analogy recently calling it the sleeping giant. So basically, the sleeping giant wakes up, it can process hundreds of millions of rows, without even blinking, and goes back to sleep. And you're only paying for when it's awake, when it's doing its work. So, Snowflake is our central analytics repository, and it's where we're integrating the data from all the different business segments. As Derek said, we're streaming this data in, live from our transactional sources using Confluent Kafka. And it allows for these more frequent, almost like micro-batching data in Snowflake. One example would be, the business implements a new POC. If we stream it in through this, we can immediately see the results. Analytics can immediately start, validating the data and exploring the data to see how our new, whatever the POC might be, how that's doing. And so, it's the more frequent data. And our first project was, 3 years ago, we did a marketing project, and, we had a lot of database contention on-prem. So we have on-prem SQL servers, and we had queries taking 3 hours. And when we went to Snowflake, it would take minutes. And another example was we wanted to add additional columns. We had a table that had 1 billion rows, and we wanted to add some additional, maybe credit grade or some additional columns that would give, more insight. And Derek, he's like, this query, to add these columns, it's going to take 2 months to add these 2 columns. And, we had the data in Snowflake, like how long is it going to take to add these columns? We were able to scale and wake up the sleeping giant, use a large warehouse. And I think we did it in a few hours. We were able to add additional attributes.
That would have been a rough backfill, but yeah, Snowflake has enabled us to do stuff we thought was impossible only 2 or 3 years ago. So it's been cool.
Yeah, and we even have a transactional project on Snowflake, and it's created a little bit of, it's an analytical platform. We want to do transactional processing on it. But it's hundreds of millions of rows we need to process. How can we stand it up? How can we do it? We're using it in a lot of different areas. And, the main benefits, I'll reiterate, are the speed of analytics, the speed of development, the scalability, the reduced administration. So we would spend, to try to optimize these queries on-prem, we'd spend hours adding indexes, looking at execution plans. And, that doesn't really exist in Snowflake. The upgrades, they kind of happen behind the scenes. And then, we used to be a batch processing. Now getting all this live data into Snowflake is allowing us to turn around quicker. It was funny, we had a developer last week call Snowflake magic in a demo. So, it really has allowed us to exponentially increase the speed and delivery of the data we're giving our customers.
Yeah, so those are some really relatable projects that we've been working on in the last 2-3 years. For those of them in the audience who are curious about the future, what are some exciting things that you see coming up for BI or data engineering?
Yeah, so our roadmap is, we have these on-prem SQL analytical servers, and we want to get that completely in Snowflake. And, so it's a lot of migration projects, but it's different in the fact that it's live data now. It's more frequent. We're also, we're starting to use Python. We have Argo, which we like to think of Argo as, the brain that kind of runs all the processes. And, we've previously used this in-house, engine to do all our dependency chains for processing. And Argo, it allows us to call Python. It allows us to call APIs. We can call Snowflake. And so we can create the dependencies of the processes with Argo. And, these next few years, we'll be working on migrating the in-house solution over to Argo. And then finally, we're looking at new self-service tools. So we're looking, we know that SSAS isn't meeting the needs we have for processing time on billion row tables, and it doesn't play super nice with Snowflake. So, we have an initiative to research some of the newer tools out there at scale, Kivos, Kailegents. We haven't decided yet, but we're just getting into those initial research phases for that. And then I think Pete was going to hit on the future for containers.
Oh,
Yeah, so if you're an application developer out there, you've pretty much had the luxury of using a lot of tools that make your world a little bit easier, and we haven't really had a lot of those in the database space. You're moving logic around. Well, we have this stateful data. It's physical. It's hard to maneuver. We have a lot of different applications that may share the same database. So we do have a lot of contention and just in the development world of how do we make that development process easier. So our application stack, we've been moving towards containers for quite some time. We have quite a bit operating in that space. Our goal is how do we get, a database environment in a container and out to a developer. So we're pretty deep in the path. We think we have the right technology components to enable it. And so we're going to be working pretty hard to containerize databases so that, when you go to your repo to get your solution, it's going to unpack that and give you an application environment, hopefully give you that personal database environment. You're able to do that development that you need, and then put that back up in the pipeline and get yourself merged in and deployed. But it's always been, a challenge and issue to work with this physical data, the size, all of that. But we think we've got a solid track to get that and implement that. Again, we're trying to speed up 50 plus, developers. Some of those aren't here yet, but we're going to get them in the door. But really, that's the name of the game. Is how do you make this more efficient for us to develop and get more data solutions out there?
Yeah, great. So we're going to switch gears a little bit again right now, and we'll talk a little bit about the DriveTime culture. The first 2 episodes, if anybody watched those out there, we talked a little bit about the special culture that DriveTime has created here. The fact that our IT organization has been recognized as one of the top 10 IT organizations in the US. And so for Viv, can you talk a little bit about what career pathing and growth looks like here in the database teams?
As you guys have all heard, all the interesting tools and technologies that we have been using, whether it's Snowflake or containers, as Pete mentioned, to make all of those tools successful, we need to have the right culture, right? We need to have the right set of people in the different teams that's helping us grow and understand. It's a very fast-paced environment that we run here, right? It's very challenging at times. It's a lot of new tools and learning. We believe in team collaboration, whether it's working with DevOps, architecture, business intelligence, application team, data engineering. There's a lot of things that are moving at a fast pace. And one of the things we believe in is like team collaboration and listening and understanding what the need is. We also have transparency where we understand, we listen, we give critical feedback. We have one-on-ones that the managers do with their employees. Some cool things pre-pandemic is like we used to do one-on-ones at coffee houses. Like, you can meet outside, you can relax and have a discussion of how your day or week or month is going in your one-on-one. Talk to your manager, feel comfortable about what your career path is, what do you need to do, improve on. I think we believe in listening to people, and I think that helps us be at a better place. We have mentors, senior developers and junior developers that forms a team. They all believe in helping each other out. It's kind of a family of people that we have here that we all learn from each other. People get opportunity to grow. One of the interesting examples I like to talk about is one of the developers on the database team wanted to see what is other opportunities of growth for them, right? It's always difficult to lose a good employee, but a few months ago, our friends and DevOps team reached out to us like, hey, we wanted to start a new position with the DevOps engineer. We want to be more focused on the data side. So we looked internally, what we have, what group of people we have, which are the candidates we feel would be a better fit. So we reached out to a few folks and we asked them, hey, would you be interested in taking a role in a DevOps side of the business? I know you have been doing database for a couple of years now, but would you like to try something out, right? So we give them opportunity to go. We give them opportunity to go sit with the team for a week, ask questions, learn what day-to-day looks like in those other teams. So we motivate those kind of internal movements inside the team. We want them to grow and expand. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure that our data engineers doesn't feel like these are the only things they can do. If they feel that their passion or their like is something, doing some other things where they can provide more value, we definitely push for those kind of things as one of the big things internally in the team.
Yeah, thanks. We, like the team mentioned, we've hired about 50 people in IT just in the last 12 months during the pandemic. Nonetheless, we're looking to hire at least another 50 in the next 10 to 12 months probably. And so for those people that are interested in a career path here at DriveTime, Derek, what else would you add related to what they would expect?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity at DriveTime right now. Like Greg mentioned, I think we're trying to double our business in the next couple of years. And with that, we need developers, we need leaders, we need forward thinkers. We need people who aren't scared to shake things up to try to solve new problems. One pretty unique and interesting thing about DriveTime that we've talked about is we have so many different business segments and data sets. So we really believe in finding the right fit to maximize people's potential. So that's possible at DriveTime. I think our CEO was an internal hire, so there's that vertical progression. A developer on my team came over from analytics. He had worked in analytics for a year and a half or 2 years, and he realized he liked the business intelligence side of the work a little bit better. We brought him over 2 years ago, and since then he's turned into one of our most reliable and technical developers we have.
Yeah, you're touching on a point that I feel is a pretty important point related to career pathing at DriveTime, and that you're never really stuck in one role or one career path here. If you get to know anybody who's been here any length of time, you'll get to hear about their journey, and their journey usually starts in some place that could be completely different than the place that they're in today. That's one of the reasons that I've been here for 15 or 16 years. I've had the opportunity to move around a lot in the company and ultimately end up here with the IT group. And so on that topic, there's a lot of 20 years plus, I think, at this point.
20 years in May.
Yeah, we're coming up, 20 years in May. That's a pretty crazy deal. Tell us a little bit about your journey and just why it was so special over the last 20 years.
Sure. I think I'm dubbed the first actual intern that's ever come into place. Now we have a pretty dedicated internship program, and you'll hear in a minute about that success. But yeah, I started as an intern, got a good look at, started in the accounting group and doing small automated tasks, but really the culture exposed itself right away, and really it was about meeting different people and finding out where I could help and where my avenues, where I could contribute. And so I did that for a number of years with this accounting group and met a ton of people. Ended up, finding my way into the analytics group for a number of years. Really got exposed to how we use data, why it's important, what does it take to do that role. Got an opportunity in IT, a few years later from that in the data side. So couldn't tell you how valuable that analytics experience was carrying over, now understanding, hey, what's it like to work over there? How can we set it up to make it, better for them? So obviously had the opportunity to work in all the different verticals. Still don't know everything there is to know about those after 20 years and still won't. But yeah, the other thing I'm going to point out is, I wouldn't be where I am today without great leaders and the great people throughout the organization that believe in you, that give you hard challenges, that make you raise the bar, and then you end up carrying that forward to the people under you. And it's just been amazing to work with. The leadership's been great, and the opportunity and the ownership is I think obviously what kept us here. The cool thing is, I'm not a unique story. I could probably name 5 to 10 interns right now that are running, the company, running these divisions, and having an impact. But we also bring a ton of people in from all these other avenues, and they have the same opportunities, and they bring us new perspective that we're not thinking about. So overall, we've cultivated something special here, and hopefully you guys are seeing that out there, through these series of videos, and really appreciate you joining in to see a little glimpse of what we're doing here.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. And so you mentioned the intern program. I'll give a little plug for that real quick before we close out. We also talked about it in a few of the other episodes we did. And you met a number of other folks who were an intern for us that are now sitting up here talking about what their journey was like with us. We bring in probably 40 to 50 interns every summer from various colleges around the country, and they're joining different departments within our home office environment, one of which is IT. We probably get 10 to 15 interns each year. And our whole goal with that program is to turn those interns into full-time hires. And so this year we're looking to bring on in about another month a number of new interns. And so for any of you juniors out there in the audience, if that's something you're interested, definitely reach out, and there's great opportunities in that space too. And I think with that, it's a wrap. For those of you who haven't had a chance to put in a Q&A question yet, if you have something on your mind, please do so now. It'd be a great time to do that. Thanks, Pete, Lisa, Derek, Viv, for joining us today and spending the time. And hopefully everybody in the audience has a really good understanding of what we do here in big data and what an awesome team we have. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kayla, and we'll see what we have on tap for Q&A.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg and team. That was a lot of great information. We have some questions to get to. Before we start, I just want to remind everyone, feel free to still utilize the chat function. If we can't get to your questions today, we'll follow up via email with you. So with that, starting off, Polly M was really interested to hear about just the growth and internal growth and the hiring happening here. what has our business hiring so rapidly right now?
Let me take it.
Sure.
Yeah, so a couple things. For those of you in the technology space, you know that there's a massive shortage of technologists worldwide. And so a company such as ours, who we've been in business for 25, 30 years, we've chosen the path of technology first, automation first, data driving decisions first. And as we've grown as a company from 50 dealerships to 100 and now 130, we will be growing another 20 or so dealerships in the next year and a half or so. So we'll be upwards of 150 dealerships fairly soon. We've had to keep up with that in the IT space as the company has gone through those growth spurts. And so that's one of the things I would say. Another thing is we've sort of reevaluated a lot of the critical initiatives that the company is undertaking. And due to that reevaluation, as you might imagine, it's created a lot more need for investment in IT. And so those two things combined, I think, is what's driving most of the growth in our area. And it's a really good space to be in. It's obviously a competitive market out there, but we think we have a really great thing to offer new candidates, a combination of really cool tech to work with, really hard problems to solve, and really fun people and culture to do it in. So hopefully everyone out there would agree.
Awesome, thanks, Greg. Next question comes from Manoj. What should be on someone's resume or profile for you to consider them as a candidate for our new hire?
We cover the BI, business intelligence. A lot of times we look for that data modeling experience. That's pretty important. Being familiar with SQL. And I think most of all is that being able to relay that you're driven and willing to learn new things. I wouldn't say there's one specific thing we look for on resumes, but when you're in that interview environment or on your resume, it's really important to kind of show you have a passion. And I think
we want to see passion, ability to collaborate, willingness to kind of seek out new things, ability to learn fast. I'd say ability to learn fast, ambition, and just collaboration. Some of those soft skills for sure.
Yeah, the technology world is changing very fast, right? Whether it's the data world or the data engineering side or the business intelligence side, we want people to react to those things and bring something new to the table. We just don't want to develop things the way they were done in the past, just using same tools and technologies. We want outside of the box thinkers, challenge ourselves and do some things in newer ways of doing certain things. And I know that some of those things comes with time and learning, and we fail sometimes, but I feel risking those things and trying out new things is something we like to do, and we feel that we perform better in the long run by doing those kind of things.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Last but not least, we talked a lot about the internship program. So if I were a database intern or a business intelligence intern, give me an example of a project I would work on during my internship.
Yeah, sure. So we try to give our interns just 100% immersion into what they're going to face on a day-to-day basis. So we've done it a couple different ways. I think this year we're taking the approach where they're going to just join in with their mentor, and they're going to just glom onto whatever projects that their mentor is working on. They're going to get sections of that story. They're going to get pieces of that, and we're going to try to build them up with a foundation. We have done other things in the past on other projects that we've needed to move the needle on, and we've been able to put a group of interns on that with their mentors to kind of move that along. But this year, definitely trying to give them the exact flavor of what it would like to be a developer. We also maybe will switch you halfway through to get a taste of data engineering and then get a flavor of the BI side. The goal with the internship program is to get you exposure to all the different things we do and then find the right fit for you overall.
Awesome. Thanks, Pete. And I lied. We do have one last question here. And then any more we'll follow up in an email. So Greg asked, does he need to know Snowflake to apply for jobs here?
No, absolutely not. Like the beauty about Snowflake, and it sounds like a Snowflake plugin here, but is how well it translates to someone who knows a SQL stack or just SQL language in general. The reason we've got such great adoption with that environment with our analytics is they're extremely SQL savvy, and so that barrier to entry just gets you running head first right away. So it's not a requirement. Yeah, it'd be nice to have, but it's definitely not a deal breaker. We'll train you. We'll get you caught up.
Hi, Morgan.
Yeah. Hey, Maureen, we miss you.
Yeah.
Come
that's all,
back.
man.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for our panel and those that have attended. We hope you walk away with some knowledge on DriveTime, our database, and our BI teams today. Reminder, all 3 sessions are on our LinkedIn page, so you can find them there. We really appreciate it, and we hope to see you all again soon. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.